The sky was burning. Lieutenant James Walker, a human soldier stationed on the outer edge of the galaxy, watched in silence as bright orange fireballs fell from the clouds above. Alien cruisers had pierced through Earth's outer defense lines. Without warning, this wasn't just another border skirmish, it was full-scale war. The planet Terran 9 was supposed to be neutral, a peaceful zone, a trade hub for humans and aliens alike. Now, it was turning into a graveyard. Walker's squad had been caught in the first wave. Now he was alone, wounded, and low on supplies, hiding in the ruins of an old cargo outpost. He touched the pouch on his belt. Only one ration left, a chocolate bar. The last piece of Earth he had dot. Suddenly, he heard movement. Not the heavy steps of soldiers. No shouting. Just a faint shuffling sound, soft, uncertain. Walker crouched behind a collapsed beam, pulling out his sidearm. As he waited, the sound got closer. Then, a figure emerged from the dust dot. It was a girl. An alien girl. She was young, maybe no more than 20 in human years. Her skin was pale lavender, and her eyes glowed faintly blue. She wore torn robes and had no shoes. Her hair was tangled and streaked with ash. She looked scared and very, very hungry. Walker kept his gun raised. "Stay back." The alien girl raised her hand slowly, showing she had no weapon. Her voice trembled. "Please, no fight. I only need food." He hesitated. Was this a trick? A trap? But her thin arms, shaking legs, and sunken cheeks told a different story. She looked like she hadn't eaten in days. Against every rule in his training, Walker reached into his pouch. He broke the chocolate bar in half and tossed one piece toward her. The girl stared at it, as if she wasn't sure it was real. "Eat," Walker said. She dropped to her knees, picked it up slowly, and sniffed it. Then she took a small bite, and her eyes widened. She looked at him like he had just given her the stars. Tears welled in her eyes as she chewed. This is sweet, like the flowers from my home." Walker watched, confused and curious. Most aliens found human food disgusting, but she was treating that chocolate like it was the most precious thing in the galaxy. "What's your name?" he asked as the girl paused. "Lyra." "Where's your family, Lyra?" She lowered her head. "Gone, killed, and the first strike I ran. I've been hiding. No one helps." Walker's grip on his weapon loosened. She was just a scared refugee, just like many others on Terran 9. But something about her, something didn't feel right. The way she moved, the way her voice echoed in the ruins. There was something deeper behind her innocent eyes. But before he could ask more, a sound ripped through the sky. Enemy drones. Lyra's eyes flashed. She grabbed his arm. "Hide! Now!" Walker pulled her into a shattered hallway as metallic wings zipped above them. He peeked up and saw them scanning the area. The drones moved on, missing them by inches. Lyra let out a breath. "They hunt everyone. But mostly me." "Why you?" Walker asked, his voice low. She looked away. I cannot tell. Not yet." That answer only raised more questions. But for now, survival came first. As the night fell over the broken world, Walker and Lyra sat in silence. He gave her the second half of his chocolate bar. She ate it slowly, her fingers trembling, eyes never leaving him, and deep in the shadows, behind them, someone else was watching. The fire in the sky had faded, but the danger hadn't. James Walker kept his eyes on the skyline, watching for enemy drones. He and Lyra had moved deeper into the old cargo station, where the walls were thick, and the signals were weak, making it harder for scanners to detect them. Lyra sat against a rusted crate, legs pulled up to her chest, eyes dim but alert. Walker noticed something odd. Despite her fragile appearance, she was calm, almost Trained. He couldn't shake the feeling. Something wasn't right. You said they hunt you, he finally said. But why? You're not carrying a weapon. You're not military. Lyra hesitated. Her voice came out low. I carry something more dangerous. Walker raised a brow. Like what? She looked at him, and this time, she didn't seem afraid. My blood, she said. My name. He narrowed his eyes. What does that mean? Lyra looked down. You humans don't follow alien politics, do you? Not unless it's shooting at me. She gave a tiny smile. Then she spoke a word, one word, and it hit Walker like a bolt of thunder. Lyrily Vosterine. The name echoed in the metal chamber like a bomb. Even Walker, a grunt soldier with little knowledge of alien royalty, recognized it from briefings. Vus single quotes TAREEN. That was the ruling bloodline of the Terran Ascendancy, the largest and most powerful alien empire in this quadrant of the galaxy. Ruthless, feared, and untouchable. You're one of them? He whispered. She nodded. Then why the hell are you hiding in a ruined station, starving? Because I ran, she said. I disobeyed the council. Refused to carry out a purge. Against civilians on a trade world. They branded me a traitor. My own family declared a bounty on me. I have no world. No soldiers. No home. Walker sat down slowly. His mind raced. He just shared his last chocolate bar with a girl who had the blood of an empress. A girl worth billions to bounty hunters. Or worse. You should have told me, he said. You wouldn't have helped me, she replied. No one helps royalty without expecting something in return. Walker grunted. I'm not a fan of kings or queens, but I don't like seeing people starve. Lyra gave him a long look. You are different. Most humans I've met talk loud, act proud. But you share your last food with a stranger. Maybe I'm just stupid, he muttered. She smiled again, softer this time. But the moment didn't last. A noise echoed from above. Movement, not drones this time. Heavy steps. Boots. Walker signaled Lyra to stay quiet. He moved toward a crack in the wall and peeked through. 4 figures, armed, not soldiers. Too dirty. Too eager. Bounty hunters. Lyra's pursuers had found them. They're here for me, she whispered, voice tight. Then we move, Walker said. No, she said. They will scan the whole structure. If we run, they'll see. I have one. Chance, if you give me a weapon, I can... No, he cut her off. You stay hidden. I'll handle them. You can't fight 4 alone. I don't need to fight, Walker said. Just stall. You find a way out. Crawl ducks. Anything. He left her behind and walked toward the corridor. Calm, quiet. One hand on his holstered sidearm. As he stepped into the open, the bounty hunters turned. Whoa there, Walker said casually. Didn't expect visitors. The lead hunter, tall insectoid with 4 eyes and a long plasma rifle, narrowed his gaze. Human? You alone? Just me, Walker lied. No food, no fuel, barely any ammo. You won't find much here. The hunters sneered. We're not looking for gear. We're tracking someone. Walker played dumb. Yeah? Someone special? A fugitive. Female, young, Terran blood. Dangerous. Walker laughed dryly. Out here? She'd be dead in hours. The hunter wasn't convinced. He motioned to his men. Search everything. They moved past Walker, entering the side rooms. He had to buy time, had to stop them from finding her. He stepped closer to the lead hunter. So what's a girl like that worth, anyway? Enough to make a planet bow. Walker nodded slowly. Then, with one sudden motion, he grabbed the hunter's weapon and slammed his elbow into its throat. The hunter staggered back, gurgling. Chaos. Exploded. Shots fired. Lights blinked red. Alarms rang out across the compound. Walker dove behind cover, drawing his sidearm. He fired 3 shots. 1 bounty hunter fell. Another returned fire, forcing him back. From the other end, he saw Lyra running. Not away, but toward him. Lyra, no! He shouted. She raised her hand. A strange pulse shimmered in her palm. Glowing wave of energy. She released it. The remaining 2 bounty hunters were flung into the wall by an invisible force. Their weapons flew from their hands. Silence followed. Walker stood, panting, blinking. At her. What the hell was that? She looked at him with a fierce glow in her eyes. I may be exiled, but I still carry the gifts of my bloodline. Walker nodded slowly, stunned. Then he smiled. Remind me not to make you mad. The broken cargo station now smelled like smoke and plasma burns. Walker stood beside Lyra, staring at the crumpled bodies of the bounty hunters. His side throbbed, grazed by a stray shot. But the pain was nothing compared to the storm brewing in his mind. Lyra had powers, real powers. That energy blast wasn't normal technology. It was biological, genetic, born of royalty. Those gifts of yours, he said carefully, I'm guessing they don't come standard with the average alien girl? Lyra looked at her hands, still glowing faintly. No, only those of the high. Blood can do this, and only when their life is in danger. Walker took a slow breath. So now it's not just bounty hunters after us. Word's gonna spread fast. Yes, she said softly. Now they know I'm still alive. That meant more would come. Smarter ones. Faster ones. Soldiers. Killers. They had to move. Within minutes, the 2 had packed what little they could salvage rations from the bounty hunters. 1 working scanner and a stolen cloak device. Then they slipped out through a maintenance tunnel deep beneath the ruins and vanished into the shadows of Terran 9's forgotten zones. As they walked, Lyra looked around the dark tunnels. Why did you stay? You could have handed me over. Lived rich for the rest of your life. Walker shrugged. You looked like you needed help, and I hate the idea of someone being hunted just for doing the right thing. She didn't respond right away, but her steps grew closer to his. Far above them, in the sky orbiting Terra 9, a golden command ship hovered like a silent god. Inside, a tall woman in black armor stood before a glowing map. Her eyes were sharp, her voice cold. Confirm the signal, she said. One of her officers turned. Yes, Your Radiance. A burst of royal bioenergy was detected near Sector 7G. We are certain it was Princess Lyra Lay. The woman's lips curled slightly. So, the traitor? Lives. Her name was High Queen Zelvara, the ruling monarch of the Terran Ascendancy, and Lyra's older sister. She disgraced the bloodline, Zelvara said, and now she returns during wartime. If the other houses find out, they'll question our control. The officer bowed. Shall we send a strike team, my queen? No, Zelvara said. This is not a matter for soldiers. This is family. I will handle her myself. Back on the surface, Walker and Lyra found a temporary hiding spot inside an old mining facility. The rooms were dusty, but the doors locked, and the scanner showed no movement nearby. Walker examined the new weapon he took from the bounty hunters, an alien plasma rifle with custom grip. It hummed in his hand, strong and deadly. Lyra sat beside a broken console, her eyes tired. You haven't asked me yet, she said suddenly. Walker glanced at her. Asked you what? Why I refused the council. He leaned back against the wall. Because you have a heart, she smiled weakly. That's what they hated the most. The mission was simple. Wipe out the rebels on Collar 3. But the rebels were farmers, children, families. I refused to activate the purge beacon. I destroyed it instead. And your people turned on you? They said I shame the Vostering name, that I let weakness poison the bloodline. Walker was silent. Then he said, that wasn't weakness. That was strength. Lyra looked up at him, and for a brief moment, she forgot she was royalty. She was just a girl. Tired, hunted, and seen for who she really was. But peace didn't last long. The scanner beeped 3 fast-moving dots approaching. Drones again? Walker asked. No, Lyra said, her voice trembling. Worse. Walker checked the radar. The signatures were strong, precise, and cold. One of them was marked Royal Level 1. He paled. They sent someone from your family, didn't they? Lyra's eyes were full of fear now. Only one person would come this fast with that signature. Who? My sister. Queen Zelvara. Walker stood. So the Queen of the Terran herself is hunting you? Lyra nodded slowly. And she never misses. The facility trembled as something landed outside something. Heavy lights flickered. The air thickened with pressure. Walker turned to Lyra. No time to run. We make a stand. She clenched her fists, eyes glowing again. Together? He nodded. Together. Asterisk. The walls groaned as the royal shuttle touched down outside the ruined mining facility. Walker loaded the alien plasma rifle, every sense on edge. His fingers were steady, but inside, his heart beat like a war drum. He had fought alien beasts, rebels, and pirates, but never a queen. Lyra stood beside him, her hands glowing faintly, her expression calm but tense. Her silver blue eyes stared at the entrance. She's here. Any last-minute escape powers? You forgot to mention? Walker joked, trying to ease the pressure. Lyra shook her head. My powers are limited. She was trained by the elders. I wasn't, Walker nodded. Then we improvise. The facility door opened slowly, not blasted, not forced. It opened with grace, like a queen entering her throne room. And there. She was Queen Zelvara. She looked nothing like a royal from Earth's fairy tales. Her armor was dark and alive, covered in shifting patterns. Her hair, a crown of white threads, flowed around her head like weightless silk. Her eyes cold as space. Little sister, the queen said, voice sharp as a blade. You're thinner than I remember. Lyra didn't speak. Walker raised his weapon. Another step and I fire. The queen tilted her head, amused. You? Must be the human. The one who gave her Earth chocolate? Walker didn't lower the rifle. I gave her food. You sent death squads. Zelvara's expression didn't change. She is guilty of treason. Harboring her makes you guilty too. Then I'm guilty, he said. The queen took a slow step forward. The air around her shimmered. Walker felt it like heat on his skin. Some kind of pressure field. You protect her because you believe she is innocent? Zelvara asked. She is, Walker said. She saved lives. She showed mercy. You call that weakness. But I call it strength. The queen's gaze fell on Lyra. You disgrace our name. Do you even understand what you've caused? I saved children, Lyra replied. I would do it again. You defied the ascendancy. You risked a civil war. Then so be it. Zelvara's hands twitched and Walker saw power. Not just physical or political, but real, dangerous power. The air vibrated. He fired first. The plasma bolt raced toward the queen, but stopped mid-air. Frozen. The queen flicked her wrist. The bolt dissolved into mist. Walker stared. Well, that's not fair. In a blur, she was in front of him. Her palm struck his chest hard. He flew back, slammed into a wall, and blacked out for a second. Lyra screamed, her hands glowing. Bright. She lunged at her sister with a burst of energy. A blue wave crashed into Zelvara, but the queen blocked it with one hand. You are not ready, Zelvara said. You were never ready. But Lyra kept pushing, eyes glowing brighter. I may not be trained, but I have something you don't. And what's that? Zelvara sneered. A friend? Walker rose behind the queen. Blood dripped from his lip, but his hands were steady. He pulled a second trigger on the plasma. Rifle activating its overload mode. The weapon glowed red hot. You forgot one thing, he said. Humans cheat. He slammed the overloaded rifle into the queen's back. It exploded in a burst of plasma and kinetic shock. The force knocked all three across the room. Smoke filled the air. When it cleared, Zelvara was on her knees, armor. Cracked Out Lyra stood slowly, arms raised again, breathing hard. It's over, sister, but the queen only laughed. Over? This is just beginning, she touched her wrist. A signal was sent out far above, in orbit. A massive Terran fleet changed course. Walker looked at Lyra. What did she just do? She called the warships, Lyra said. She's going to burn the planet. The queen smiled. If I can't bring you back, I'll erase the planet you touched. Walker stepped between them. We stop her, now. Lyra clenched her fists together. They raised their hands, Walker with a scavenged energy blade, Lyra with her glowing palms. And with one last glance, they charged. The chamber shook as two forces collided, one royal by blood, the other royal by heart. Walker dashed forward with the energy blade he'd stolen from the bounty hunters. He wasn't as fast as the queen. He wasn't trained like her. But he was human, and humans had a habit of breaking the rules. Lyra launched a glowing wave of energy from her palms, striking the queen from the side just as Walker went low, slicing toward the armor cracks left from the overloaded rifle explosion. Zelvara spun, blocking the strike with her armored gauntlet, but stumbled for the first time. You dare fight your queen? She hissed, eyes glowing brighter. No. Walker grunted, twisting past her next strike. We fight a tyrant. The queen unleashed a shockwave that blew them both back across the room. Lyra crashed into a support pillar, gasping. Walker slammed against the wall, vision spinning. You're strong, the queen said, stepping forward. But your bond is your weakness. Lyra stood, one hand over her ribs, blood at the edge of her lips. It's not weakness. It's why I'm still alive. Suddenly, the ground beneath them vibrated again, this time deeper, angrier. Walkers. Eyes widened, the fleets moving into position. Lyra looked at the sky through a broken ceiling vent. She's going to level the planet. Millions of innocents live here. And they'll die, the queen said calmly, unless you return with me. In chains. Walker stepped in front of Lyra again. You can't destroy an entire planet just to cover up your shame. I can and I will, Zelvara replied. I am the ascendancy. But then something happened. A new signal appeared on Lyra's stolen scanner. Unknown origin. High energy. Walker saw it too. That's not from her fleet. Lyra's eyes lit up. It's a human ship. A large Terran battleship dropped from hyperspace above the planet, its arrival tearing through the void like a thunderclap. It bore the emblem of Earth's United Systems, but this one wasn't standard. Military. It was experimental, big, and angry. The queen blinked. Impossible. The humans don't have ships in this sector. Correction, Walker said, smiling. Faintly. We didn't have any here. Now we do. The ship hailed the surface. A deep voice crackled through the console nearby. Lieutenant Walker, this is Commander Hayes of the USS Righteous. We've got your signal. Are you and the royal asset secure? Walker laughed. You got perfect timing, sir. Zelvara's expression shifted for the first time. There was doubt. The USS Righteous aimed its weapons at the Terran fleet above. Warning lights flashed in the Queen's com. Stand down, Queen Zelvara, came the voice again. Any Attack on Terra 9 will be seen as a declaration of war against Earth. You wouldn't dare, she hissed. Walker stepped closer. Try us. Lyra looked at her sister. You always thought your power made you untouchable. But now you see, even your empire has limits. The queen stared at Lyra long and hard. If you walk away from me now, you will never return to our world. I'm not going back to a world built on fear, Lyra replied. I'm building something better. And with that, Lyra extended her hand. Walker thought it was for the queen, but no. She was reaching for him. He took her hand. Together they turned their backs on Zelvara. The queen said nothing. She only vanished in a shimmer of teleport light, retreating to her flagship above. The war had just changed. Hours later, inside the medical bay of the USS Righteous, Walker sat on a bed, bandaged and sore. Across from him, Lyra sat wearing clean clothes, her purple skin glowing softly under the sterile lights. You okay? He asked. She nodded. You didn't have to fight her, you know? I did, he replied. Because someone once told me mercy is not weakness. She smiled gently. You gave me your last chocolate bar, she said. You risked your life. For someone you barely knew, Walker shrugged. I've always had a soft spot for people who break the rules for the right reasons. She tilted her head, curious. So, what now? Walker looked out the window as the stars stretched beyond the ship. Now, we tell the galaxy that the Terran crown isn't untouchable, and maybe we build something better. Lyra nodded slowly. I would like that. The stars outside the USS Righteous were silent, but inside, the ship buzzed with rumors. Everyone on board knew who the girl was now. Not just an alien refugee, but Princess Lyrale Vostarine, heir to one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy. And a traitor to it. Some whispered she was dangerous. Others thought she was brave. Walker didn't care what they said. He only cared that she was alive. He sat beside her in a quiet observation room where the stars glowed beyond the glass. Lyra leaned against the seat, wrapped in a fresh gray cloak, her skin glowing softly under the lights. You know, Walker said, sipping a protein shake, most people would have run from their past, but you stood up to your sister. You could have died. She looked down. Part of me did when I saw her again. I used to look up to her. I thought she was perfect. She's not, Walker said gently, but you're better than she ever was. Lyra gave a small smile but didn't answer. Walker leaned forward. So what now? We take you to Earth? Put you in hiding? She shook her head. If I hide, she wins. My silence lets her rule through fear. I need to speak. I need the galaxy to hear my story. Walker raised an eyebrow. You want to go? Public? Yes, she said. On your networks, on your channels. If I speak the truth, others might rise too. Even inside the ascendancy. That's dangerous. I know, she whispered. But I won't run anymore. Later that day, a private broadcast room was cleared for her. The lights were dim. The camera floated silently before her. Walker stood behind the glass, watching. Lyra took a breath and then began to speak in her native tongue, then in English, then in the old trade language so that as many as possible could understand. My name is Lyrale Vostarine. I was born into a palace of gold, but I saw the truth behind the walls. I saw innocent worlds burned. I saw those who questioned the crown silenced forever. She paused, voice calm but full of steel. I chose to break the cycle. I refused to order the death of unarmed civilians. For this, I was marked a traitor. My own family hunted me. But I survived because a human soldier, a stranger, shared his last meal with me. And because he believed I deserved a second chance. The camera zoomed in. I no longer claim the throne of Vostarine, but I do claim my voice. And I say this now to the people of my blood and to all across the stars. Kindness is not weakness. Mercy is not failure. And fear does not make. A ruler, if you hear me, know that you are not alone. She ended the message, her eyes bright but steady. Walker was speechless. That, he finally said, was one hell of a speech. Lyra turned toward him. Let's hope someone listens. But someone had already listened. In the far reaches of the Terran Ascendancy, a young noble girl on a mining moon heard the broadcast and lowered her weapon. In the political halls of Terran space, a quiet senator replayed Lyra's message 3 times before deciding to write a new law proposal. And aboard a black cruiser in deep space, Queen Zelvara stared at the footage, silent. The crown on her head felt heavier than ever before. She's just a girl, an advisor said behind her. No, Zelvara whispered. She's more dangerous than an army. Back on the USS Righteous, Lyra sat on the floor of her temporary quarters. The air was quiet, peaceful. She opened a small metal tin Walker had given her earlier. Inside were chocolates. Earth chocolates. He had gone to the ship's food deck and traded his personal gear just to get them. She took one, held it gently, and smiled. She remembered the first piece he gave her, when she was starving and hiding in the rubble. Back then, she was a runaway. Now, she was a voice shaking an empire. Walker entered the room. Hope they're the right kind. They are, she said softly. Even if they weren't, I'd still love them, he grinned. Because I paid too much for them? She laughed. A small, real laugh. No, she said. Because they remind me of the moment everything changed. He sat beside her. You know, we may have just started a war. Or a revolution, she said. Either way, Walker said, I'm not leaving your side. Lyra looked at him, eyes warm. I know. Asterisk, the stars outside Earth's orbit were brighter than Lyra had ever seen. She stood on the deck of a peaceful space station orbiting Earth, safe, protected, and surrounded by new allies. But her heart was anything but calm. Since her message went out across the galaxy, support had begun to grow. Several minor houses in the Terran Ascendancy had sent secret messages. Some pledged loyalty to her. Others offered to help form something new, a council of peace, with shared rule instead of fear. But there was one message she hadn't expected. Queen Zelvara had responded, not with violence, but with a request, a meeting. Alone. Walker didn't like it. You sure it's not a trap? It might be, Lyra admitted. But I have to know. If she's willing to talk, maybe the galaxy doesn't need another war. Walker crossed his arms. You're braver than me, she smiled. You're the one who ran at her with an exploding rifle. He grinned. Touché. The meeting took place aboard a neutral station, monitored by both Earth and Terran diplomats. The room was quiet, white, and full of tension. Queen Zelvara entered. First, her armor gone. She wore a plain robe now. No crown. No guards. Lyra followed a moment later. Alone, they stood across from each other. Sister to sister. The queen spoke first. You've caused chaos. I caused truth, Lyra replied. You caused fear. There. With silence. Then Zelvara said something no one expected. I watched your broadcast 3 times. And? I heard our people cheering, the queen said slowly. Not in hate, but in hope. For the first time in years, they believed something might change. Lyra's breath caught. You taught them mercy, the queen continued. I ruled through strength. But strength fades. What you offer might last longer. Then end the bloodline wars, Lyra said gently. End the hunting. Create a council, not a throne. Zelvara closed her eyes for a long moment. She was just a sister, tired, regretful. I will not step down, she said. But I will agree to peace, a new future, and you may return. Lyra blinked. Return? As ambassador? To Earth, between our people. Back aboard the USS Righteous, Walker listened to her news in stunned silence. You're going back? No, Lyra said, then smiled. I'm going forward. She took his hand gently. As ambassador to Earth, I'll live here. Work with both sides. Teach what I've learned. Walker looked at her hand in his, the way her fingers fit perfectly between his. So, we won't be saying goodbye? Lyra leaned in. Only if you plan on running away. He shook his head. Not a chance. Weeks later, in a sunlit park on Earth's moon colony, children played as traders of all species walked freely under glass domes. Peace wasn't perfect, but it had begun. Walker sat on a bench, chewing on a protein bar. Next to him, Lyra held out a tiny wrapped object. Chocolate? She offered. He raised an eyebrow. I thought we ran out, she smiled. I saved one. The last one. Thought we could share it. Walker laughed. Full circle, huh? Not the end, she said. Softly. Just the start. She broke the chocolate in two, and this time it was she who offered it to him. He took the piece, touched by the gesture. Together, under the stars, a soldier and a once poor alien girl sat side by side, two lives forever changed by one small act of kindness. And one last chocolate.